Hey everybody, this is Julia from abbasheart.net. I'm here with part 2 of my testimony and I'm just going to go right into it. So on my first day of work at the strip club, they asked me to come up with a name that I could name myself. I had to, I couldn't use my normal name. And I loved this idea because I felt like this gave me permission to take on a whole new identity. I didn't like myself anyway, so I loved the idea that I could be anyone I chose to be. And I even had a new name that would personify this new personality. So my name was Ariel. I'm going to share with you what it was like when I first started dancing. So of course you're really nervous, but people are just throwing money at you, so you're highly motivated to figure it out. That this was the very place that my abuser would say, I'm gonna go see beautiful girls. You're not beautiful, you're not good enough. I'm gonna go to the place where real beautiful girls are. And he would psychologically abuse me to force me to do things with him by saying these things that would manipulate me. And I felt so awful about myself. You know, of course, and I'm doing things I'm not agreeing with, I don't want to do, but I like this boy. So in order for his approval, I am destroying myself in the process. And I get this job, the very place where he is telling me, I'm gonna see these beautiful girls. Now I am that beautiful girl. Now he could be the one walking through the door. And this customer that I'm dancing for could have been him. And so in my mind, I was thinking, you will never hurt me again. You will never touch me again. And now I will cause you pain and heartache. And that feeling, there was a high that comes with that feeling that of when you have no power and suddenly you're given so much power. It is, I don't know how to describe it. It's unbelievable. So this job gave me a sense of getting my power back. And I liked it for that reason. I liked feeling that I was in control. And so a lot of times people go, well, how did you work in this job so long and not be jaded and not hate men? And I really think, honestly, that the fact that I was sexually abused earlier in my life, that had a big role in me being a very clean dancer. So there's different kinds of strip clubs. You know, most people don't know this. The average person probably doesn't know this, but there are like little honky-tonk places that are very scandalous. Let's just say that word, they're very scandalous. And then there's like high-end gentlemen's clubs. There's always something that happens in some of these clubs. But, you know, some people think, well, if we pay to go up in the VIP or this or that, you know, they're gonna get a little bit more. But for me, my boundaries were very, very firm. I did not drink in the strip club because I did not want to be not having my wits about me. I wanted to always be sharp. I was there to make money. I was there to make money. And I was there not to make the most money, to make the most money that I could and still keep me, where nobody would touch me and make me feel dirty. This boy growing up made me feel dirty. And I thought of myself as like more of a visual entertainment. People can look at me, but the minute that you touch me, it would make me feel dirty. So that would never happen again. So because of that sexual abuse, I almost see this as a blanket little protection for me over the years because I never compromised and men didn't try to touch me. If they did, they just were gone. So that kept me safe. I feel like that really, really kept me safe for a long time. I remember when my first shift was over, my purse was just bursting with cash, just bursting with it. I have never held that much cash in my life. And I remember that I didn't drink the whole time that I was working. I mean, I'm talking about drinking water or Diet Coke. Like just didn't want to stop and take a restroom break. I just was like boom, 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 because money was being thrown at me. And because that was such a lack in my life, I was like, I cannot take a break for 1 second because I don't know when this train is gonna stop. So I just need to just sit here and take it and accept as much as I can. And so that first night that I got home from my job, not only did I get my $250 back, but I had made well over $1,000 in cash. I just remember being able to sleep like a baby. Like I just had my first night of real rest. I felt like everything was gonna be okay. I wasn't gonna be on the street. And even if people thought I was stupid, it didn't matter. I was making really good money. It didn't matter that I had dyslexia. Nobody cared that I had a learning disorder. Nobody cared. People were worshiping me, throwing money at me. I felt like I wouldn't be on the street anymore. I would be able to take care of myself. I felt safe in this place because there was bouncers there to make sure that nothing ever happened that you weren't comfortable with. So if a guy tried to touch me, I'd be like, this guy is trying to touch me. And I just felt safe there. I felt safe, like I could safely do something that I was good at. And when you're told that you're not very good at things, and maybe this is all I'm good at, and why does that make me a bad person? Because I want to survive. You know, when people would find out what I did for a living, it was humiliating for me because I didn't like being judged according to the job. I wanted to be judged according to me. Like, you don't know me. You're just judging me according to this broad stroke of an idea of a stripper, but I'm a person. And I'm making these choices, and I feel like I am making the best choices for my life right now. I am not on the street. I am feeding myself. I'm not asking anyone for $1 or a dime. I am doing this on my own. Anyway, the job gave me comfort for a long time. When I was at school, I met a boy at a party on campus. He was instantly drawn to me. He was okay, he was cute, but I really wasn't interested, to be honest. I wanted my freedom, and I wanted to enjoy the full college experience. I wasn't interested in having a boyfriend or a relationship. You see, I wasn't allowed to date in high school. That boy that abused me, that was something that happened in secret. He was not my boyfriend. Like, my parents didn't know about him and stuff like that. So I was very naive to dating behavior. I just didn't know. All I knew was meeting this guy out on dates and where he would exploit me. That's not a dating relationship. That's a sexual abuse situation. So sadly, that was my only experience. So because I was so scarred from that experience, I wasn't interested in dating. In fact, I wasn't interested in men at all. I was just interested in meeting friends and making money and being able to do well in school and having a fun college experience. Those were my goals. But this guy just wouldn't leave me alone. So he just kept showing up at my dorm. And remember, I'm in the virgin vault where nobody wanted to be my friend. And here's this guy. Yes, it's not what I want. I want to meet girlfriends, but there's this guy and he's being friendly and he's keeping me company and I'll hang out with him. So I just hung out with him and thinking, you know, what's the harm in having a guy friend? I can have a guy friend. But he always wanted it to be more than that. And eventually he just wore me down. I didn't have enough people in my life. I didn't have any other friends. He just ended up coming and seeing me so often where we were just together all the time. And it just, when I look back at it now, I can see that he was basically like a stalker, you know? But again, I'm very naive and I'm just like trying to be nice and okay, well, why not hang out? I got extra time. I wasn't aware of him targeting me in this way. So we're just gonna go back to stripping. So a little bit more about the dancing world is I studied the other dancers, how graceful some of them walked and how they dressed, how they applied makeup. And I was so ignorant. Like I know I'm gonna keep emphasizing this, but I just don't think that people understand just how narrow my life was. But if you think about like the movie Footloose, it would be something like that. We weren't allowed to listen to rock and roll music, so when the DJ would play a song, like I didn't even know music to dance to. I didn't know what was popular, and I actually didn't know how to dance because we weren't allowed to dance. So we were not allowed to dance or listen to rock and roll music in high school. So to this day, I struggle. I did some modeling, so I knew how to pose and I knew how to work around my deficiencies. So I worked around it. And I also just catered towards the people that were like me. Because I'm an introvert, I would see people that were shy or uncomfortable to be there, and those would be my customers. So those would be, I would think of them, my customers, as friends. And a lot of times I became their friend. I got to meet people, even if it wasn't ideal, it was better than being lonely, and that was better, than nothing. So anyway, I'm gonna share a story. One of the things that happened when I was dancing, and this was kind of early in on my dancing career, I just remember this customer coming in and he was wearing like all black and a black trench coat. He was young and disheveled. He didn't look like his hair was washed, and he wasn't spending money. I remember that. But he was just staring at me all night. And when I passed him, he stopped me and he said, "Is it worth it?" And I asked him what he was talking about. Like, what are you talking about? And he said, "Is this job worth your soul? You know where you're gonna go." And he just grinned at me like he was so happy to deliver that message. And then he walked out of the club. And this interaction, it deeply, deeply troubled me. And my friends I told in the back room, like, what happened, they said, "Oh, you're just reading into it too much. He's just a weird customer and just don't pay attention." But I knew that this stranger had a message for me. I believe it was a message from the enemy, basically saying, "I've got you. I've got you, and I'm gonna take you down." From that point, like the lightheartedness and the joy of the job and the relief of having the finances taken care of and being safe and protected in that environment and meeting, shy people, customers that were like me, all of that, the joy of that job, the benefits of the job is, I guess, a better way to put it, began to fade a little bit. And the weight of my decisions began to resonate a little bit deeper. And I just didn't know what to do with it. I started to feel like, oh, I don't know about this job. I don't want this job taking me down. Yes, it's fun for right now. It's good for right now, but I know this is not where I need to be. And I just didn't know what to do. So unfortunately, this boyfriend that I had, he encouraged me to get an apartment off campus and to lessen the amount of classes I was taking. And he said, you're at this time in your life when you're making so much money, you'll probably never be able to make money like this. You should just work more and save as much money as you can and go to school later. And because I was working more, it was harder to keep my grades up. So I'm the kind of person that either I go to school and that's my job, or I go to work. But doing the two of those together, I was going to slip. There was no way I could keep my grades up with the amount of hours that I was working. I took his advice, which was really stupid. Deep down, I was like, I don't know, because once you leave college, they say it's really hard to go back. But I just didn't want to keep investing in my college classes, keep putting money towards something that I wasn't sure about where I wanted my life to be. It just seemed like a waste of money to just keep spending that, and also a waste of stress and aggravation to keep going to classes and trying to keep my grades up if I couldn't see where I wanted to be. So I said, okay, I'm gonna take a break and I'm just gonna focus on making money. So I developed this plan to my escape plan, basically. I knew I couldn't dance forever. My grandmother came from Japan. My grandfather, he lived in Fresno, California, so he's, from the United States, but they didn't have very much. They worked at a factory together. And they worked at a factory for years and years and years and saved up their money. And what they did was they lived on my grandfather's income, and then they saved my grandmother's income, all of it. And they just put it away and put it away, and they invested in a piece of property, in a piece of real estate. And it was an apartment building. And then they bought this apartment building, and they were able to leave the factory and do really well financially. And so I saw that, my grandfather, and I said, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So that's going to be my plan. And so I was really good about saving and saving and saving. And you know how I was talking about my friend that had the Louis Vuitton purse? I never bought one. Pretty much the whole time that I worked at that job, even though that was like a nice little trinket that drew me in, I was never the type of dancer to buy those type of things, because my goal was to be an investor. So the money that I made, I would sock away because I knew I wanted to buy property with that money. I didn't want to waste it on a purse or this or that. So I would buy myself little nice things, but what is a Coach purse compared to a Louis Vuitton? You know what I'm saying? So there were like nicer things, but not like top notch, the things that I really wanted. But I was always holding out for the end game. Like, you save for the end game. So this boyfriend that I was with, that encouraged me to quit my school and to work full time as a stripper, the more that I worked, the more that I saw that money was missing from my stashes. So I had little stashes all around. I had a safe, I had a briefcase. When I would come home from work, I would count all my money and stack it away, and I organized it pretty well, and I knew how much I had, wrote it down, and then the next day I would go and either deposit it in the bank or safety deposit box, and there would be money missing every single time. And I would doubt myself because of my dyslexia. So this is the thing, he knew that I had this disorder. I was very insecure about it, but there's one thing that I was good at, and that was counting money. Probably had to do more with poverty than anything, but I switched numbers around, but I couldn't switch numbers around as often as money was missing. I always doubted myself because I was with this person who was another psychological abuser. He didn't abuse me physically, but he abused me psychologically and would play mind games with me and would trip me up and make me feel crazy all the time. Are you sure? You don't really know. You're bad at numbers anyway. You're just being stingy, like just stuff like that. So then I would begin to doubt myself and think, okay, well, maybe he's right. Well, this whole time that we were together, which we ended up being together, I think like 6.5, almost 7 years. Not because I wanted to be with him, because he manipulated me to stay with him. He just never got a job. The whole time that I was with him, he would say, I can't get a job because English is not my first language. He would just make up all these excuses. He didn't work the whole time that I was with him. And I would try to break up with him. I knew he wasn't good for me. It was just getting worse and worse. And he would manipulate me like, you're a horrible person. How could you leave me when you know I need you? I found out that not only was he stealing money from me, but he was cheating on me and taking girls out with my money, impressing people with my money, and doing all of this and selling drugs, which, again, I'm completely ignorant. I'm not coming from a background that can understand or recognize when someone's on drugs. I'm just thinking he's forgetful. I'm just thinking, I don't know, like people change, and so he's just his personality's changing, and it was changing for the worse, and I wasn't liking it, but I didn't know what the reason was. And I found out later on, oh yeah, he was selling ecstasy, he was doing this and that, he's cheating on me. So I'm going to read you a Bible verse because this really comes to mind. Great wealth is in the house of the righteous, but trouble is in the income of the wicked. Proverbs 15:6. So during this time in my life, I was ignorantly satisfied. Like, I finally carved out a little life for myself because I no longer had to worry about being on the street. I'm going to share this story about my life kind of taking a nosedive here. The weather was really bad, so I couldn't give Dan a tour of my campus. He decided to stay for the night, and we ordered in pizza. We were bored and looking for something to do, so I pulled out this Ouija board that was given to me the semester before. And I was really thrilled to show Daniel just how easy it was and how it really worked. So my friend, when I was living in the dorms, showed me this Ouija board. And whenever I would get on it, she loved it when I would get on it because it would move really strongly. It was very strong when I would get on. So I had it in my closet, and I pulled it out, and Daniel started playing. He didn't really want to at first, but then he started playing, and he became mesmerized. It was asking this Ouija board questions all night. So eventually, I reminded him that I needed to work the next night, and I had to go to bed. So I just let him play on the board on his own. What I didn't know was that this is one of the forbidden rules for Ouija boards. You never play on the board alone. But Daniel entertained himself until the wee hours of the morning. So the next day, I remember just waking up very late. My brother did not look good. And then he began explaining what happened the night before. He says, after you retired, I played a while longer and then settled on the couch to get some sleep. I lay there just staring at the ceiling. And then I see this swirl of faces, like all these different faces swirling, morphing in and out of each other. They're like laughing, and they're morphing, and then they're changing, and they're morphing into each other, and they're taunting me. And then they all stopped. They looked at each other, the faces looked at each other, and then they flew straight into his head. And he felt this like suction feeling in his head. And he's explaining this, and he's just pale with fear. And I'm saying, oh my gosh, Dan, that's a messed up dream. Thank goodness, that's only a dream, You just need to sleep. You just need to go home and get some rest. And we hugged, and I gathered my things, and I closed up my apartment for the weekend. So what I would do is I would spend the weekend with my girlfriend because she lived in the city. And then I would come back like Sunday morning. I re-entered my unit early Sunday morning, and I could feel that something was off in the apartment. It definitely felt very dark. And although it was sunny outside, my place felt very dark and very heavy. I also felt as if I wasn't there alone. This was a tiny single bedroom on a college campus, so you could basically see almost the whole unit from the front door. No one was there, yet something was with me. I turned the corner and noticed that every kitchen and the cabinet door was open. As I head towards my bedroom, my broken electric toothbrush goes off. This thing was unplugged and the battery wasn't working. So now I'm really freaked out. I step into my bedroom and I notice an old photo album sprawled open on the bed. The pillows are disheveled on the bed as if someone is just chilling and looking at this photo album. So this is the crazy part. This album was tucked deep into my closet, and it was behind a broken closet door that had the tracks, the sliding doors. Well, you know how when that door gets off the track and it's broken, the old ones were really heavy. So this was a very heavy wooden door that you had to lift up and put to the side. So it was on the side that was always closed. It was tucked away in the part of the closet that I didn't use very often. And then the side that was open was the clothes that I wore all the time and the things that I used all the time. So where it was placed in my closet was tucked away in the very back, and you had to lift up this heavy door to get to that photo album. So this photo album that was in the back there was sprawled out on my bedroom, on my bed. The picture that it was open to was a picture of me and my brother when we were little. I just took it all in for a minute, and then I called my brother. And I'm like, Dan, I'm in my apartment, and something weird is going on here. And he's like, Jules, I am so glad you called. I think I'm going crazy. I keep hearing voices arguing inside my head. And I can tell things are gonna happen before they happen. And I haven't slept. I just don't know what to do. I told him, I'm gonna come out and see you. And I rush to get out of this apartment. I'm glad to get out of there, but I don't know what I'm leaving behind alone in this apartment, because I know that something heavy is there. But I close the door, lock up, and I go out to see my brother, to see what's going on with him. What state is he in right now?